Area Music exclusive.
I grew up like a savage.
One, two. You now rocking with the No Vultures podcast. You got me, myself, Lord Rab. You got OG Clee going away on a vacation. Free OG Clee coming home soon. And today we got a very, 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 very special guest. Now this guy has been around this culture and this lifestyle for a long time. If some of y'all that's been around and you know what's going on, you're already looking at his face, you already know what time it is. And if you don't know, if you haven't got a clue, if you're looking at his shirt, then you kind of almost got a clue from now. But if you're looking at the legacy and you're looking at his chain, then you really, 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 really know what it do, man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? This guy has held his mans down. He has played his position. He has been a rapper, an entrepreneur, real estate mogul. Yep. You know what I'm saying? All of that. Then we got Big Court today, man.
What's going on
No Vultures, man. How you doing,
I'm
bro?
good, brother. Appreciate you having me,
man.
especially at such short notice.
Oh man,
bro.
you know we got to work, man.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I tell brothers all the time, like, we not in a position to be bullshitting. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Talk.
Other races, they work.
They work.
You know what I'm saying? You might see somebody collecting cans that's a millionaire. You never know. Got 2 or 3 properties, been having money. So, you know, and that's one thing I know you come from that cloth of hustling that, you know what I'm saying, we could teach our people that. I got to start with the No Vultures disclaimer. Mm-hmm. Started a podcast because just seen a void for the voice on the West, and not necessarily for the West, because this is a hip-hop show. People think, not a hip-hop show, but a culture show,
right.
About us,
right.
Our people, right? So people think that this is a podcast about Bay Area hip-hop, right, or hip-hop in general. It's not. Mm-hmm. It's a podcast about us, our people, for the culture, by the culture. That's the tagline. So we don't want to have Big Court on only because Big Court, y'all know him from having a Rumble on the TV, right? Or y'all know that Big Court don't take no shit, so y'all want to, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. We want to talk about everything, so we go from the beginning to the end. You know what I'm saying?
Real talk. Yeah.
So, Kansas City, Missouri.
Kansas City, Missouri. Yes.
Born and raised.
Born and raised.
Man, how was that?
Man, you know, growing up in KC, I mean, you from Oakland, right?
Yeah, I'm from Oakland.
So Oakland and KC have a kinship.
Man, you ain't got to tell me, man. As soon as I hit the
we
highway,
like cousins. So you know what I'm saying? Being here is like being at home.
Same shit.
So we've always shared, you know what I mean, the street culture. We've always shared music. I grew up on Bay Area music.
Yes.
You know, so you know, I grew up on the Spice Ones and the E40s, 415. You know what I mean? Of course,
shout out to the 4, DJ Durrell,
you know
Richie Rich.
Richie Rich, of course, Mac Dre, and of course AMW. You know, I got my OG Big Rail with me. You know what I'm saying? So growing up in KC, bro, was beautiful. You know, I'm made in the 70s, raised in the 80s. You know, I had a beautiful childhood, bro. I'm an only child. Okay. Education was a focus point in my household. I was raised by strong women. I'm a single child. I'm an only child by a single mother. So yeah, man. You know, it was cool. You know.
Now, and you know, I'm a little younger than you, but I'm from the same era. Off the porch way too early myself. So, I come from that cloth, and I know what you was on, and I know how the lifestyle is. So when I think about KC culture and I think about Bay Area culture, I think about the same type of cars, like you said, same type of music, same type of lifestyle, right? And growing up in them times, I heard you speak on this before in the interview. Growing up in them times when crack hit, like, because I have all my guests that lived through that kind of explain it through their eyes, because that shit was crazy. You had to be there. Yeah. So like different things, like from seeing a woman that you might have thought was the finest woman in the world go to be a dope fiend, right? Or to see OG that was the dentist on the block rent his car out to somebody for some coke, like, because you jumped off the porch and started selling coke, right?
Well, we back it up, drag it back a little bit. So, you know, the thing is with Kansas City, our culture was kind of split, you know, in terms of the influence. So we were influenced by the Bay musically, and in terms of street, the game, you know, the dope game and all of that, even slang to an extent. But unlike the Bay, Kansas City adopted the gang culture. See what I'm saying? So we kind of took on
actual
both.
gang
banging. Gang banging. So not only did we have the dope era, but we had the gang shit we had to navigate too.
Right.
So yeah, you know, I started seeing the influx of crack and dope houses and different things like that, probably around late 80s.
Okay.
I didn't really understand what I was watching, because I was just a little kid on my bike. But of course, once Ice-T, I hear, NWA and all of that, they provide a context to what I'm watching.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And, you start seeing what it was for me is not only seeing my peers' parents, and it also touched my household as well.
Okay.
Fortunate enough, the people in my household were functioning. Nobody in my household was just strung out like just strawberries and nothing like that. You know what I mean? But, it was seeing the niggas in the hood that was up, some of the players and the ballers that, you seen them on Dayton's and 30s and Vogues and all that, and then all of a sudden you see they down bad on their ass, and they smoking, the tragedy with a lot of that generation got broadsided by crack cocaine because they didn't know what it was. They didn't have a reference point. Their reference point of a drug to stay away from was heroin.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So from the 60s and the 70s, they knew not to touch that shit. But cocaine was a party drug. So they went from tooting, snorting, to now you got this rock shit. And
it was freebasing before that.
Right.
Because I actually saw them before they even put any water and
real
baking
shit.
soda to it.
Real
they was
shit.
actually smoking powder.
Freebasing. You had that in the early 80s. And so, I grew up in the 80s, so I grew up on the weekends where my people be partying, drinking, doing their thing, and you find the tray up under the couch with the residue. I used to play in the residue. I didn't know what the fuck it was. You know what I mean?
Or the shoebox with the weed seeds in
it. My mother used to have them roach clippers.
The clips,
with the feathers on it. See, that's a straight 80s shit. You know what I mean?
Did y'all have the beads hanging down the doorway?
Yes. To separate the room and shit. Yeah. The beads, and then she used to use the not the zigzag. What's the other one? The jokers.
The jokers.
Joker papers. This is before the blunts. Youngsters probably
youngsters
what the
don't know
fuck
what
they
that
talking
is.
about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was different, but at the same time, you start seeing young niggas getting money. I watched a lot of cats, like even across the street from me. My homeboy I grew up with, Skin, he was probably 3 or 4 years older than me. But I remember I was like 10. He was like maybe 14, 15. Shit. He was buying cars.
He was having it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Had the Turkish rope with the anchor on the bitch and the nugget rings and shit. And even at 10, I really didn't understand what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I really didn't get the understanding and hop off the porch till about 14, 15.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
But see, I hopped in on gangster shit, not necessarily getting money. So my
with that culture being blended though, right? And being in the 80s, crack is hitting.
Yeah.
The influence of the music, the influence of California, both on music as far as in the game from us, and then gang banging.
Right.
So y'all kind of like getting the best of both worlds. The
worst of both worlds.
Yeah, the worst of both worlds. And at the time, I always like to say this too, for even new gangbangers. I'm not a gang member, but I understand the culture enough to know that we talking colors.
Yeah.
So we talking about after watching this movie,
right,
like, and seeing the depiction of like actually two brothers on their knees that smoke each other,
right,
and some gang members actually coming to the conclusion like that's what it is.
That's goals. That's life goals.
That's what I'm on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it almost makes you think of a third world country, and when they adapt the motto of like, I'm going out for this. This is what I would rather be, a martyr than to be a sucker. You know what I'm saying? Which we actually didn't know what battle we was fighting. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. It was bigger than that. Yeah.
And so early on, and you saying you getting into some gangster shit, I also heard you tell a story about like when y'all hit the lick for the guns, when you caught a case. Like, I thought that shit was like crazy because the bravado, when I think of now, because we always say these youngsters.
Yeah.
But you got to think about that then too. Like,
for sure.
No, you actually came up with the plan.
Yeah.
Other older cats help you execute it.
Yes.
Right? But you thought of this shit, and you thought it from a movie. See, I look at youngsters like that now.
Right.
They don't have, no pun intended, they don't have no limit.
Right.
They don't see no, like, I can do whatever you talking about. Like,
Yeah.
So they end up with a lot of more money, but they take a lot of more risks. So
Of course. When you're young and you're youthful like that, you don't really, you're not really cognizant of your own mortality like that. You know what I'm saying? You don't, like, when I was in all that trouble, I didn't understand the gravity of what I'd done. I didn't understand the severity of it.
Yeah.
I really didn't.
Right.
I was so arrogant when the motherfuckers took me to jail.
Yeah.
Because I thought my mama was just going to be able to pick me up. You know what I mean? And once they said, no, nigga, your shit this thick, like, bruh, you can take just take going home out of your vocabulary. You're like, that's not, and I'm like, oh damn, that's how this shit go.
you like, y'all can actually keep me in this motherfucker?
Yeah. And I said, and then I'm gonna stay here for a couple years,
Right,
then go to the big jail.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, like damn.
I actually went through something you went through. I was one of the first in Alameda County though to be for here it's called a 707B hearing to be tried as an adult. I went through the process, beat some shit in juvenile court, which I had the worst record out of my co-defendants, but they knew I didn't have nothing to do with it. But they was like, we can convict him in juvenile court with no jury. So it was kind of like the same thing. But how was that process?
Well, juvenile court, at least in that point, because this was 91. So you figured this is where they were, in Missouri anyway, they were trying to figure out what to do with youth offenders that commit adult crimes. So I was in the newspaper. I was going to be the first juvenile that year that they certified, right? But juvenile kind of works like family court to an extent. So they they consider all the factors of your family life, your school life, where you are psychologically, your maturity level, so all of that. So by God's grace, they was able to kind of ascertain that, okay, he get good grades, and then kind of fucked up, but it saved my ass. My mother was going through her drug shit at that time. So they factored in that, So they like, oh, okay, home life ain't too stable, But I had a father and a stepmother that were gainfully employed. Okay. Oh, so we can take him over there. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and my pops came through, got me a lawyer. You know what I mean? Dude is still like one of the best criminal lawyers in Kansas City. You know what I mean? Notorious cokehead, but he good at what he do. You know what I mean?
Hey, a lot of them are.
Notorious
like we talked about functional.
Yeah, he do what he do. But and so I was able to, get house arrest and get past that. But even when you explore, like you said before, like how I even got into that, the thing about it is when you talk about the influx of gangs, you talk about the crack cocaine, the environment becomes hostile. Right. So what happens is, the first person I seen killed was my homeboy when I was 13 on the 4th of July. My other partner accidentally shot him in the chest. So watching that at a young age, and then, back then niggas is getting jacked for starter coach Jordans and shit like that. You know what I mean? Man. So then you got this gang shit coming in at the same time. So what happens is, you become fearful. Anybody to say they wasn't, you lying. See, none of us came out the womb gangster. Right, no. We was kids playing with Transformers, riding bikes, just doing regular kid shit. Unless your home life is just super fucked up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So now you seeing this, and so you adapt. You become a little fearful because you don't want to be victimized. Right. So, back then, shit, you hard pressed to get your hand on a Do Dirt 8, 38 with the tape on the handle, or 25 or a Lawson or some shit. But it's niggas out here with, at least in that day, it was Mac 11s, Tex and shit like that. Shit, some niggas had Uzis. You know what I'm saying? And if a nigga was really getting some money, he had a full length AK. Wasn't no Dracos.
No, it wasn't no Draco.
Or you had the SKS. The
nigga had AK with real wood on it.
With real wood and a fucking bayonet on that bitch. Like, nigga, you ain't in Vietnam, nigga. So, you like, man, I got to get some tools. I got to tool up. I ain't finna have these niggas playing with me. Right. And so that's what led to, man, we need some better guns. It's just going down out here, So like I said, my household was loving and peaceful, but you gotta go outside. I still gotta go to school and shit. I'm still playing basketball in the hood. I'm still of the environment.
It don't matter what your intention is, who you want to be in life. Right. It matters what them dudes is doing outside.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So what happened is, I came up with a plan. We did it. Shit, we tooled up. And then at that point, again, that's why I always say, I was being a follower, but not a follower of an individual, a follower of the destructive culture. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Where we program, like Nipsey said it very poignantly one time. He said, you're programmed to look and destroy what acts and looks and dresses just like you. Yes. That's the enemy. Yes. The motherfucker look like you, act like you, talk like you, he an enemy. Think about the psychology of that, and that's what it was.
I always use that in the term. I always use that analogy, exactly what you're saying early on, when I first started waking up. And I always said when we was selling dope, we see a white man in a suit, we'd be scared. Right. Like is he the police? Is he what is he? Like, why is he, you know, or, you know, he's a businessman of some sort, insurance guy.
Right.
We see a brother in the suit, he just came from church.
Yeah.
Or a funeral.
Real talk.
Or court.
And, you know, speaking of waking up, it's funny that you say that, and we'll go back to that, but I just wanted to your point. Like, when I first moved to L.A. about 20 years ago, I remember, you know, we go through that phase where we mugging niggas and you looking niggas up and down, you sizing niggas up, all of that, for no fucking reason.
Right.
So, no fucking reason. So, I would find myself, I moved to Brentwood, which is a very affluent, rich neighborhood in L.A.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm in a store, and, you know, these are, you know, it's a difference between black men and niggas. So I'm around black men. There's no niggas. I'm the only nigga in Brentwood at that point, right? So, you know, I caught myself in the store. I'm looking at this dude, you know, square dude, and I'm just picking this nigga apart, bro. I'm just look at this bitch ass nigga, like, for no reason. And so he, you know, he kind of nodded to me, and I kind of looked at him like, "Ho ass nigga, I don't know you speaking to me for." Like, and so just, I don't know, God touched my heart at that moment and said, "Why are you doing that?" Right. You don't know this man. Why are you doing that? And then I had a conversation in the store with myself saying, "Yeah, why am I doing that? Why am I don't even know this dude." You know, so it started there. And so one thing that I changed was, and I started to see a change of how people receive me as well. You know, I changed this. You know, I'm nut mugging and all that, and I started raising my eyebrows. And at that point, people started to ingratiate me. They started to speak, and it was a different energy. So, you know, you got to do the work too. You know what I mean? So then I had to start peeling them layers back, like, fuck, why I'm doing that? Why I'm all... But it was from the environment. You know what I mean? You know, so it was a destructive culture, and, you know, we program again to eliminate what looks like us, what acts like us, and then it's remnants of the Willie Lynch shit too.
Yes, it is.
You know, it's that distrust, that natural distrust and disdain we have.
And he said it in the end. They'll do it to each other.
Fucking right.
Once we implement this, and we keep it going, and that. Even on that's a testament to what they felt about their race and the pride. I always felt like Africans and people of that culture, we were so in tune with earth and so living in a peaceful moment that we got took advantage of. Of course. We just wasn't on guard. Exactly. They're coming from where their environment is rough, it's food is scarce. Predatory. People damn near eating each other, like, you know, they clubbing women and shit. Right. Like, they come to Africa, this shit chilling. We high-fiving elephants and shit. Exactly. Everybody living in peace. You know what I'm saying? It's gold everywhere. Ain't nobody tripping.
And this is why I always try to, you know, even with me, just my brand is Big Court, even my podcast, you know, and just where I'm at in my life now, I try to eliminate those stereotypes. You know, the others and people in general, they think that black people are just innately prone to criminality, which is not the truth. You know what I mean? That's learned behavior. We don't come out the fucking womb just wanting to do shit. Nah. You know what I mean?
Who's inherently bad?
That's what I'm saying.
Like a baby coming out mean mugging.
Exactly. That's some shit that we learn and we pick up. So going back to what you were saying about waking up, that's when it really started with me. That was my early 20s. You know, up until then, I was still low key on, or maybe high key on bullshit. You know?
Back in KC, living your life, being a street dude, how does CSG, how does that form?
The CCG.
CCG.
Yeah,
how does CCG form? Like, are these childhood friends?
No. So, you know, I was inspired by Eazy-E and Ice-T. So I would write little raps in the late 80s, early 90s in school and shit, right?
Everybody did. You lying if you say you wasn't a fake rapper when you was young.
Exactly. And so CCG actually started out, we was like the Wu-Tang Clan. It was a bunch of us. You know what I mean? It was a bunch of us. And of course, you know, as you start going, motherfuckers flake off, fake, you know, they ain't really with it. So it came down to me and my partner Cisco. We were the only ones that was just with the dream. And the odd thing about it with me and Cisco, I met him in 9th grade. I went to Lincoln Prep, which was my 9th grade year, and I ended up getting kicked out. So did he. But he was like, we were two different personalities. We actually had two separate sets of friends. If you can imagine how Pimp C and Bun B was, You know what I'm saying? Completely totally different personalities. You know what I'm saying? But we shared the same dream.
Okay.
You know, we shared the same dream. So we put the CCG together, and that started probably about 92, 91.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when y'all started and y'all got going, like, what was the process of starting rapping in Kansas City, and like, who was the influence? Like, how did y'all know what to even do? And y'all put some down on wax early on, right?
Yeah, tapes. You know
Tapes.
what I'm saying? Tapes. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, that's a good question, bro. It wasn't no industry in Kansas City at
Okay.
that point. The only person at that time that had done anything nationally was Vel Bacardi.
Okay.
Vel Bacardi had signed with Def America with Rick Rubin. Shout out to Vel Bacardi. And I remember seeing him on MTV, on Yo MTV Raps.
Okay.
And that was kind of like, oh shit, this could be a reality. You know what I'm saying? And so at that point, that kind of, you know, made it like it could be a reality. And so Tech Nine was still doing his thing. Rich the Factor at that time had came out here.
Okay,
He came
Rich
out
the
here
Factor,
and linked up with JT the Bigger Figure,
mhm.
you know, and then he brought the independent thing back to the town.
Okay,
You know, so
okay.
I can't say Rich was the introduction to the independent shit, because prior to Rich, everybody was just trying to get a record deal. You know, because that's what it was back then.
Okay,
You know,
okay.
but Rich brought that independent understanding back to the city. So we was just doing tapes, bro. You know what I mean? But I didn't want to be local.
Yeah.
I just wasn't, even though I was inspired by some of the locals like the Southside Posse, SSP, Money G, you know, some of the locals, Pure Dope. I was watching them, but I just wanted to be, you know, shit. I wanted to be like Short and them.
Yeah. That was a strong time for them in Bay Area hip hop.
Hell yeah, I grew up on it. Yeah, that's the majority. That, and you know, I grew up on Too Short. You know, that was the nigga, man.
That was the nigga. That
Still
Short Dog.
is the nigga.
Short Dog was the
Still is the
motherfucking
nigga.
man.
Yeah.
And are you so in the group? You already Court Dog though.
Yeah, at that point, yep.
But was that carried over from the street?
Yeah, no. Well, yes, I got court dog for playing basketball. Yeah, so I was a ball player. You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
a ball hog.
Oh.
but I was
Okay.
Yeah, I can admit that shit now. You know, I didn't take kindly to that shit.
Okay,
then, but,
okay.
you know, I played point guard, and so my coach just named me court dog, but it was to the basketball court and play on my name.
Okay.
I was a ball hog.
Okay.
Stay on blue.
I'm just trying to stay racked up like you.
Put an 8 in a 1 and do magic. Tryna stretch hair run like elastic. Eco-friendly drug dealer, I don't waste no plastic. Use all 4 corners of that baggie. All I ever wanted was a bankroll. So I pull up on Champ before the bank close. Say no to stank hoes and stank clothes. No paramedic pimpin', nigga, we don't save hoes. Yeah, rest in peace to Lil